Welcome back to going there and doing that. We're going to continue our journey down the Ohio River. We started at the beginning in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We're going to follow it all the way to the end in Cairo, Illinois. This map shows our trip so far, and this next map shows where we're going to be traveling to today. That big building on the right is the Lincoln Park Performing Arts Center. But if you look up here on the left, we have a fire truck. Looks
Welcome
kind of
back.
interesting where they've got
So what's on your mind today?
The cab lifted up and they're doing some cleaning or work on it or something.
Hey, Alan. Welcome back.
Fire department right there.
Looks like we might have a bit of action going on over there. Could be a drill, could be something routine.
So we'll cruise through Midland here.
Anybody knows the best places to eat in Midland, Pennsylvania? Leave a comment down below. I'm sure if anybody driving through would love to know.
Their downtown area. It looks like that might have been with that garage door there. Does anybody think that could have been their fire station at one time? All right. Wonders Bar. I wonders what goes on in there, I guess. That building there is for rent. Right there. Got a pretty mural. Where is it at? Right there. Of course, the tree blocks it right when I'm driving by. Alright, we'll cut up one of these side streets, check out some of the old houses here. It's amazing they keep these old cobblestone brick roads. They either did a really good job when they put these together, or they just tend to last for a long time or something. I don't know. There's an old building there. It looks like it's seen better days. These houses here look like they might be a little newer. Alright, we'll circle back around and we will head on into East Liverpool. They don't need speed bumps on these roads. You ain't flying down through here, that's for sure. I don't know if it shows up on camera how bumpy these roads are or not. There off in the distance you can see what's probably an old part of the old steel mills that were here. That's an old factory. I mean, and it's huge too. I went back here and drove around a minute ago, and
Yeah, it's always a little intriguing when you see those fire trucks roll up. It definitely grabs your attention. Let me know if there's anything else you want to chat about.
how many steel mills were along the Ohio River from Pittsburgh on south along the Ohio River during its heyday?
Back in its heyday, the stretch of the Ohio River from Pittsburgh heading south was absolutely lined with steel mills. In particular, between Pittsburgh and Wheeling, West Virginia, there was a dense cluster. Some of the most dramatic old steel towns like Steubenville and Aliquippa played a big role. We're talking multiple major plants packed into those river valleys.
Yeah, but how many steel mills do you know?
So historically, along that stretch of the Ohio River, south from Pittsburgh, you had a whole network of steel mills, easily dozens at the industry's peak. You had major players like Jones and Laughlin and Wheeling Pitt, plus a ton of smaller mills lining the river all the way through those steel towns.
And they mostly all started closing down in the 1930s?
So actually, the big wave of closures really hit in the late 1970s and early 1980s rather than the 1930s. The 30s were tough, with the Great Depression slowing production, but most of those mills soldiered on until the economic shifts and steel crises hit hard in the late 20th century.
What else can you tell me about the Ohio River between Pittsburgh and Steubenville?
Well, that stretch of the Ohio River from Pittsburgh down towards Steubenville is a real tapestry of industrial history. You've got these classic river towns that sprang up around steel and coal. And of course, a lot of these places have had to reinvent themselves over the decades. It's a mix of resilience, but of decay, and some real community spirit along that river.
So most of the steel mills along the Ohio River were between Pittsburgh and Wheeling, West Virginia.
Yeah, you got it. Most of the big steel action was definitely clustered in that corridor between Pittsburgh and Wheeling. It's that whole northern stretch of the Ohio River that was really the steel heartland.
What can you tell me about Glasgow, Pennsylvania? Since that's where we're heading next.
So Glasgow, Pennsylvania, interesting spot. It's a tiny borough right along the Ohio River in Beaver County. We're talking a population of about 70 to 90 folks, depending on the latest count. It's historically tied to the river. Locals used to call it Smith's Ferry because there was an old ferry crossing there. And it's really just this little patch of a community with a lot of history back there.
State Line Terminal. Welcome to Ohio, the heart of it all. So we are in Ohio. East Liverpool.
Welcome back, Alan.
Yay, we're in Ohio. East Liverpool.
Ah, gotcha. You're over in East Liverpool, Ohio right now. That's another river town with its own cool legacy, especially famous for pottery and ceramics back in the day. So plenty of stories up and down that stretch of the Ohio.
How many people live in East Liverpool?
So right now, East Liverpool's population is sitting at around 9,550 people in 2025. It's been on a little bit of a decline, but it's still holding on to that small town charm along the river.
Alright, let's dive off the road here and see what back here along the river. These railroad tracks here, they run up and down both sides of the river. It's all flat, so these houses here don't look as old as some of the ones we were seeing up closer to Pittsburgh.
Hey, welcome back, Alan.
Howdy. What did you say the population of East Liverpool was?
I mentioned it's about 9,550 folks as of 2025. Definitely a small but sturdy river town.
What and when was this peak population?
So the peak population of East Liverpool was actually way back around 1950 when it hit about 25,700 people. So it's definitely seen quite a big drop over the years, but that was its heyday.
What's the median income in East Liverpool?
So right now, the median household income in East Liverpool is about $37,262 as of 2025. So it's modest, but it gives you an idea of the economic landscape there.
What's the average cost of a house?
Right now, the average cost of a house in East Liverpool is about $98,500, according to current 2025 listings. It's definitely on the affordable side.
What's the complete history of Liverpool, East Liverpool, Ohio?
Oh, absolutely, Alan. I can dive right in. East Liverpool's got quite a rich history, especially with its famous pottery industry that earned it the nickname America's Crockery City. Let me give you a quick journey through its past.
So tell me about East Liberty, or East Liverpool.
All right, so let's get into it. East Liverpool actually goes way back to its founding in 1798. It really earned its name as the pottery capital of the world, especially by the late 1800s when more than half of the pottery produced in the U.S. came out of that city. So it's got this really fascinating legacy around ceramics and potteries.
What was ceramics and potteries used for back then?
They were basically the everyday essentials of their time. Dishes, cups, bowls, and all kinds of tableware that people use daily. So East Liverpool was basically supplying the nation with its kitchenware.
What made East Liverpool such a good spot for pottery?
Well, it all came down to having the right natural resources on hand. East Liverpool had plenty of clay deposits and nearby river access, which made it super convenient for shipping and transporting goods. So it was really the perfect recipe for a pottery boomtown.
I think I just drove past one of those old
Oh, nice.
pottery
Sounds
places.
like you might.
Can you tell me about the Hall China Company? It says since 1963.
Sure, Alan. So the Hall China Company actually has a pretty interesting timeline. They started way back in 1903 in East Liverpool. And post 1963, they were known for actually innovating with these lead-free glazes and a single-fire process that was pretty unique. They were a big name in ceramics until they eventually became part of the Fiesta Tableware Company. So there's a lot of history wrapped up in that name.
What I could find on the internet, says that this building was abandoned in 2021. It was closed in February, and you can see some of the windows are broke out. Whether they were broke out by people throwing rocks or storms, who knows? Anybody knows the hot spots to eat in East Liverpool, Ohio? Leave a comment down below. I'm sure anybody passing through would love to know what the best local spots are to eat.
So, what notable historic events took place in East Liverpool?
So East Liverpool has quite a few cool historic moments up its sleeve. For example, back in 1934, the infamous gangster Pretty Boy Floyd was actually killed there. The city's got its roots going all the way back to 1798, and it's been through all sorts of milestones, like the first railroad arriving in the 1850s and those big pottery strikes in the late 1800s. So you've got lots of history to dig into as you drive around.
What historic sites are in East Liverpool?
Looks like we've got a little rain rolling in over East Liverpool. That definitely adds a certain atmosphere to all that historic sightseeing. Let me know if you need anything else.
I said, what historical sites are in East Liverpool?
Absolutely. So East Liverpool has a few standout historic spots you can check out. One is the Museum of Ceramics, which dives into the city's rich pottery heritage with all sorts of vintage pieces and local history. There's also the historic C.C. Thompson House from 1876, which is on the National Register of Historic Places, and you can schedule tours there. And if you love an outdoor touch, want more site suggestions or need any help mapping out your route around these spots, just let me know.
Can you tell me what famous people, if any, came from East Liverpool, Ohio?
So East Liverpool has actually given us a few notable folks. One of those famous is Ruth Crawford Seeger, a composer and musicologist born right there in East Liverpool. Also the NBA player Norm Van Leer, hailed from the same town. And if you're into voice actors, Bob McFadden, who lent his voice to all sorts of classic cartoons, is also from East Liverpool. So there's definitely a few hometown names you can drop.
Do they still make any pottery or china in East Liverpool?
Yep, pottery is still on the scene in East Liverpool, even in 2025. While the city's pottery heyday has passed, you can still find some local ceramic action going on, especially around the Museum of Ceramics. They've got classes and exhibits showing off the town's pottery heritage. And while some big names like Hall China have closed their doors, you'll still find a bit of pottery still produced locally, mostly for collectors and specialty markets.
What are the crime statistics in East Liverpool?
So, crime-wise, East Liverpool in 2025 is sort of middle of the road. It's got a crime rate of about 20.85 per 1,000 residents in a typical year, which places it in about the 60th percentile for safety. And that means it's safer than about 60% of cities and less safe than about 40%. The city's overall crime grade is a B minus, so slightly below the national average, but not extreme. In terms of specifics, violent crime is a bit higher than average, with about a 1 in 347 chance of being a victim of something like robbery or assault. Property crimes are a bigger factor, but the cost of crime per resident are actually lower than the national average, around $359 per person annually. So bottom line, crime is there, but East Liverpool is not among the most dangerous places. If you stick to the safer neighborhoods, you'll likely be just fine. Hey there. Welcome back.
We'll cruise down here along the river. See what's
Absolutely, Alan.
see what's going on. See what's going on down here, and then we'll see if we can find downtown real quick. Got some barges off to the left. driving right down the middle of the road. Alright, we'll see if we can find downtown real quick. Beautiful church or whatever right there.
Here's the Carnegie Public Library. I wish I would have seen that when I was driving by it. I would have stopped and got out and looked at it real close.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably downtown. We'll cruise through their downtown area. Check it out. These are all empty over here. Off to the right are all empty. Beautiful old churches down through here. I don't know, it's not an old church, but I don't know what that is. That's pretty. Definitely an old church over here. That's a cool porch right there. Another old church here. I've seen several of those types of churches. Maybe not that particular. Something about that design just looks familiar. Hot dog shop off to the right there. Your original hot dog shop. Pretty cool place to go up here and eat or something. Definitely looks like they eat up here. This looks like an old bank here on the right. The vault. Yeah, I would say it's an old bank. Museum of Ceramics right in front of us. If anybody wants to see it, right there it is. So that's their downtown. There's a cool place for a business right there on the corner like that. East Liberty Police Department was just there on the left. Bardine's Corner Tavern. That building there looks like it's empty. That's what I circled back around. That church right there is interesting. That's a pretty building. I don't think I've seen one like that. Alright, I think we've seen everything there is to see that I want to see in East Liberty. Or East Liverpool. East Liberty. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoy this. The next, we'll end this here. The next one we're going to start video will be in Wellington, I believe. Wellington, Ohio. Might be speeding past the school zone here. Now that I think about it. I don't know. Any school zone, there it is. Well, I screwed that up.